Since the release of Blackberry Cookie, she has been able to fix many problems in the game already. Except you. She can't fix you no matter what, little bro. Just move on. Go touch some grass. I'm kidding, I love you. With the lack of supports right now, as she is our second epic support, she immediately found a spot in the meta already. So I'm really excited to talk to you about Blackberry Cookie. So let's talk about Blackberry Cookie's kit. Blackberry is a very interesting unit as she has multiple roles. She can be a debuffer, a healer, a sub DPS, and even a damage buffer all at once. Well, the last one is only possible if you have her artifact, but we'll get to that. She is a maid, so I'm not surprised she's good at many things. But I don't expect her to want to clean your filthy ass rooms, so she at least helps you in the battlefield. Especially with the way her kit functions and supports your team and your teammates if you decide to play her mostly on a raid. Her basic attack allows her to shoot little purple flames that come out of her candle, which, by the way, can pierce through enemies. Which, why? Why give this to Blackberry and not Lemon Zest? Why? I mean, at least he got a buff that made him playable without promotion too now, so that's cool, I guess. For her skill, she drops a little candlestick that does little damage over time. She doesn't give some sort of DLT debuff, some burn poison effect. The candle just literally does 140% of damage over an 8-second time span. And the cooldown of the skill is pretty short, 12 seconds. So the candle will have a near permanent uptime on the field, and it can also heal a little bit. You know, proportional to 2.5% of your attack, but you're not really there for the heal. The damage is what you're gonna want from the skill because the heal isn't that much. It's really little. These effects can also be enhanced by an extra 10% more damage and an extra 1.70% of healing based on attack due to an effect called Expert Touch State that comes from her passive. And no, that doesn't mean she wants to touch you. Her passive Skillful Maid allows her to enter a state called Expert Touch every 12 seconds, which can be changed thanks to money, but more on that later. The Expert Touch state can be seen as this yellow bar indicating you when you can either use the enhanced skill or ultimate after 12 seconds. And her ultimate benefits from the buff a little bit more than her skill, so always use her buff ult over her buff skill unless your ult is on cooldown with her ultimate. She summons up to 3 Casper friendly ghosts that are not so friendly. These ghosts charge at enemies to collect soul embers, and while they are dealing up to 165% of damage or 180% with Expert Touch for up to 4 hits per ghost, so 12 total hits at base promotion 1. They're also simultaneously reducing the enemy's dark resistance down for up to 10%, 2% per stack out of max of 5 stacks. After they're all done attacking, they retrieve with the soul embers and heal all nearby allies for up to 4% of attack or 5% with the Expert Touch buff. Then they leave the battlefield. She's really more of a healer and sub DPS with a hint of debuffing with just her base kit, so let's see how much more we can enhance her with some of... Okay, this is editor me, I don't know why I cut off, but I meant to say one of her best builds. Just a quick little know. Now let's be honest, we don't want Blackberry Cookie to be more depressed than she already is, right? Well, I at least I hope not. Because there's already too many depressing characters in media nowadays. So we're going to fix Blackberry Cookie by changing her capabilities and completely strip the healer aspect of her and focus on dark resistance down and give her the ability to increase damage. One way is by using her best in slot build with the Fallen Stars Regalia set, which anyone can easily get by just reaching 43 million points in the Champions Raid update. Since it is really easily accessible, this set gives her a small dark attack buff to herself, which is basically meaningless. It's 20 flat dark attack. You might as well not even add it to the set at that point. It's basically useless, so just ignore that part. The main focus of this set is the big 20% attack buff to Dark Element cookies by just getting direct hits with it. This set is tailor-made for Blackberry Cookie, so I'll be surprised if a future cookie can make use of the set as well, because this gets debuff amplification and healing buffs from the unique abilities from both the headwear and the legwear. For whatever reason that you haven't gotten the full set yet, Ghost Captain will be your second best in slot choice, as you also got debuff amp from the unique abilities and can reduce the enemy's defense by 20% by using your skill. And to be honest, this may seem a little bit better on paper, but having this set on elemental taggers who specialize on reducing their elemental res the most, it's better to have it on them. But if this is all you got, Ghost Captain will definitely be a second best option. You can also use the Eminence Herbalist set if you don't mind having her focus a little bit more on healing, so you can overcap for the extra 300 flat attack for every 10% of over healing. If you have no other option, just use any epics with debuff amp or attack stats. Obviously, you will see a lot of lack of support capabilities and a lot less damage from your teammates if you don't have the accessibility of increasing their extra damage or reducing the enemy's res so your allies can do more damage. For a weapon, obviously goes for her signature, as she gets more debuff amplification and allows that dark resistance down to be very lethal to your enemies. If you don't have it or don't want to craft it, any type of attack will work. Substats prioritize debuff amplification up to 50 to 60% debuff amp. Should be really easy to get with the unique abilities of your super epic equipment. After that, just focus on getting some attacks so that way you can increase your damage a little bit more and you can heal a little bit more since your healing is based off of attack. If you're going to be using all epics, go all out on debuff amp, as you're going to be lacking a lot of it since not many sets have that debuff amplification part of their unique effect, as I'm pretty sure there's only 2 that actually have it. Now, this isn't the only way to increase her damage support capabilities, so let's talk about her best artifacts. Now, her artifact choices are limited, as there are only 2 damage boosting supports, Rockstar and Blackberry Cookie. So obviously Blackberry's best slot is her signature, as just by using her skill and ultimate, teammates gain a buff called Poltergeist. By using her skill and ultimate, teammates gain a buff called Poltergeist, which increases crit damage by 3.6% per stack up to 5 times, which is up to a solid 18% crit damage buff, which is really good, as this is the only thing outside of equipment that can increase crit value. So this already makes it a very valuable support artifact for many to come and not just for her. So in my opinion, this is a very must-pull artifact if you're able to get it. Her other option would be Rockstar, as I mentioned before, as I find this artifact to be very iffy even with himself, as it is very RNG on the buffs that you get. It's even not really the best for Rockstar, but if you get really lucky and mainly get that attack buff from the 4 that you can get, that is definitely going to be the go-to artifact if you want to risk RNG or just don't mind doing multiple runs to get that perfect single run. Everything else seems useless on her, as you don't really care about the movement speed, the buff amplification, the healing done buff. So for Rockstar's artifact, all you want is that attack buff, and out of all the 4 that you're more likely to get over the attack buff, it's very RNG as mentioned before, so I wouldn't recommend it. And if you can get Blackberry signature, go for it. Camomiles is very usable if you're mainly using the Eminence Herbalist set, as this only helps do damage after the fact that the overheal is done. It's a very niche artifact for her, but unless you have that set, I think it could pair up really well. So if you have no more super epic options and this set is complete in your roster, go for it, as it can still increase damage and heal a little bit more, but nothing else to help boost your teammates' damage. So out of all the 3 epics, this is definitely the worst, but it's not terrible. For your free-to-play options, Path of Training is an excellent option, as you give your team a fat 20% attack increase with no caveat. The ultimate just needs to hit 5 times, and I really like this for her over the other epic options except for her signature, as it requires no type of RNG or specific requirements, which is really good, as it is a very nice support artifact that many taggers seem to be using nowadays as well. But if you want to go balls deep on the resistance down, newest formula also works great, as it will help shred through the enemy's elemental barriers. Now that she is more versatile, which is not a terrible choice, it can actually be pretty useful on her. She's a little bit more versatile with her artifact options as long as she meets the requirements for them, but her teams push her to the max, so what can she truly do with her teams? So let's talk about Blackberry's best teams. So she's very tailor-made for dark teams with the way she works, but that doesn't mean she can't be used in other elemental teams. Thanks to the artifact crit value buffs, they really mean a lot to any type of DPS. So really, she's viable with any DPS and tagger as long as she has this artifact. But for her max potential, being paired with Alchemist for that crazy dark resistance down, and either Dark Choker or Karabi as your main DPS will be her best team, as you basically one-shot anything in the game. You could also switch out Alchemist for Rockstar for a hyper carry team and buff the hell out of your main DPS. But tag damage and the roles of just causing resistance down is too valuable for the team. But if Alchemist isn't built or leveled up, or you just don't have her, Rockstar will definitely be a good option if you don't have her, but it will not be the best replacement, as tag damage and the resistance down from the taggers is really good. For Blackberry's non-dark teams, the only one that could really be viable and at the top would be Wizard and Lemon Test, purely for that crit damage buff of her artifact, and Pirate set on her for that defense down, as you don't need to be some sort of element, as your own element doesn't cost what type of defense down they get. It's just a 20% defense down from the set, which is better for a lot of universal teams that aren't dark teams. This is only really plausible because light teams don't really have a good light support except for Pistachio, but she needs to be promotion 5 and she's more of a sustain type of cookie. She's not really a damage buffer unless you have her promotion 5, so she could definitely work well in a light team, but in overall she can kind of work with any DPS, as if you don't have her artifact you could definitely use Path of Training, and that could also help her replace someone like Rockstar if you don't have Rockstar yet for whatever reason. But let's see how much more she can increase her damage boosting capabilities if you decide to swipe for her for more copies with her promotions. Blackberry Cookie's promotion 2, she reduces the time required from Expert Touch, her passive, to only need 8 seconds of wait time instead of the 12 base seconds, and also summons one more ghost from her ultimate, so she essentially gets a damage buff and healing buff, as her skills will now have a quicker availability to be used in their enhanced forms and have more attacks from the ghosts on the ultimate. Promotion 3 is a usual extra 8% HP defense and attack that you always get for every cookie. Promotion 4 is where she becomes a monster, as it is one of her best promotions. She makes her teammates shred through enemies with an astonishing count of res down, as she reduces the dark res by a huge 40% with her ultimate. That makes it a huge 50% of elemental shred, which is literally game changing for any cookie, as Gumball is still one of the best taggers for water teams. Molotov is great and Alchemist is still very useful. Any type of dark resistance down is great, but having it up to 50% is really powerful once you see it in play. She also receives yet another glow, so basically she gains more damage and heal. You can honestly stop at promotion 4, as promotion 5 only adds another ghost for a total of 6. But promotion 4 is where you should invest if you want to invest in her, as promotion 5 is really not necessary unless you want to min max everything, every little point you can get out of Raid or Glass Labyrinth or literally anything you can get. I'd say P4 is the go-to. Now I think Blackberry will definitely be useful for a long time, as she's gonna be great in dark teams, and dark teams are never gonna go away, as they will only grow even bigger. Dark cookies right now in the game are one of the strongest elements, as they can even be used without the recommended element to still dominate within Raid or other game modes. This is just such a powerful lineup of cookies, and when you add more support and when you add more powerful DPSs or even taggers in the future, dark elements is only going to get bigger. But if she's not going to be getting more dark teammates in the future and they're going to relax on that and they're going to add more elements like more water cookies, more fire cookies, more earth cookies, which we really need more earth, she can still be used as a healer and a defense down with certain sets, or even just the crit damage buffer with her artifact, as that crit damage buff can also increase by a lot if you get it at a rank 5. She's going to be really powerful in the meta for a long time, I believe, so I'm really excited to see how well she's going to last in the meta, and I know she will last. So until next time, this will be it.